Well, if you are one of the many, many people trying to recover from Storm Darragh and the aftermath of the flooding, the damage to roads, railways, homes, we've even seen some deaths, absolutely horrific tragedies of that horrific storm over the weekend that just simply would not stop. 200,000 homes are still without power this morning due to those gale force winds. Let's talk about all of this with Clare Nasir. She's a meteorologist and weather presenter and joins us. Hello, Clare.
Hi, Julia.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, look, I had the minimal impact of the storm, which is I had a big party on Saturday night and I lost a load of gas to trains being cancelled. Trains being cancelled is the least of your worries when you're dealing with a storm with those sort of gale force winds, though, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Storm Darragh barreled into the UK from the west through Friday night. Gusts in excess of 90 miles an hour. That warrants a red warning, which is what the Met Office issued. And there was multiple hazards associated with it. The interesting thing about this storm was the ferocity, but also the length and the breadth of it. So no one was immune to the strong winds, heavy rain, snow over the Highlands, apart from the far northwest of Scotland.
Yeah, who normally get the worst of these things.
Yes.
That's it. It was just across the country. It was, all north, south, east, west. And it just went on and on and on for, it felt like days on end.
Yes, it did. It became slow moving. The centre of the low, where the worst storms were to the south and the west, tracked from Northern Ireland to Northern England and only slowly moved towards the North Sea. And that's the reason why the worst winds were in the south. But there was a broad yellow warning for wind, and there was multiple problems on the roads, the rails, the air. It was a horrible and nasty storm. Yeah. And as you said, impacted millions of people.
Yeah, indeed. I think it was 2 or 3 million people lost power for periods of time. I mean, all credit to the emergency workers, working round the clock to try and get, power lines back up. And again, these are exactly the times when you definitely need power to keep warm. But we're going to still see the fallout of that for a really long time. We've had a spate of floods in recent weeks and months as well. An awful lot of people's homes facing a lot of damage. And of course, a lot of people facing, devastated lives. And we've seen people who've lost loved ones too.
Yes, I mean, just a few weeks ago, we had Storm Bert, and there was a lot of flooding from Gwent to Northamptonshire, where some villages were pretty much underwater. You don't recover very quickly from that type of flooding with property damage. No. It can be 6 months to a year. So this is misery for a lot of people as we go into the festive season and for Christmas Day, with roof damage, property damage, and just trying to get from A to B. It was a horrible event.
Well, actually, again, it's like people trying to loads of trains cancelled and loads of roads impassable, and we've seen at least 2 people dying in the road with trees falling on them. When that red warning goes out and says it's a risk to life, they really do mean it. But then some people have to travel. They have no choice. They need to travel. In terms of what we've got in the week ahead, are things going to improve? What are we looking at for the Christmas period?
Well, I think we can breathe a little bit easier this week. Good news for the recovery period, because we absolutely do need it. It's going to be mostly dry and quiet, but the land is really saturated. We do not need any more rain in particular, and things could turn a bit more unsettled as we head into Christmas week.
We're not going to be having a white Christmas, are we?
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
Really? I just think it's going to be one of those sort of wet and miserable ones. We're in the studio. It's the 17th floor, absolutely beautiful building overlooking the River Thames here at talkTV Towers. And we had beautiful blue skies an hour ago when we started the show. Dark grey, miserable again. I mean, it's just incessant, this. The British winter is upon us.
It's dark, isn't it? And people get really down. That's why we need Christmas on the 25th of December, just to lighten those dark moments.
It's why we need Christmas lights, chocolate and alcohol. That's why we do it. It's why we do it, Clare. Clare, thank you very much. Always good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Clare Nasir is a meteorologist there. Another Clare Pearsall, former Conservative government advisor. When you were in the Tory government, why didn't you sort out the weather? The awful thing is, I always talk about this. We've been flooded before. We've got a half-off flats basement. I just don't ever, please, for the love of God, though, I don't care how good it is, don't buy a basement flat, guys. And we think we've got it watertight now. Who knows? Who knows till the next time? Thank God for good insurance. An awful lot of people who've been facing damage won't have insurance. I mean, people should, but a lot of people go, you know what, times are hard financially, and of course, every time there's something happens, your insurance premiums go up.
They do, and the risk level of your property then goes up. And we saw this before with floods back in sort of 2014, where a lot of properties were then deemed uninsurable. And it was a 1 in 100 year flooding that happened. So I think the insurance industry needed to sort itself out. But I also think that we need to start making sure that councils get rid of all of the stuff that's in the drains so that all of this surface water can
actually
flow
go
away.
Yeah, cutting the trees back and doing all that stuff. I mean, there was a time, come on, when we would go, warning storms, and we're still all laughing about the, I've had a call from a woman who says it's worried about a storm, and then it's just going to be a bit of wind, and it was a proper sort of mini hurricane. And people say, storm damage, and here's my wheelie bin, it's fallen over. But I mean, we were having stuff coming down into the garden. I mean, big branches and things. Yeah, we've had trees down in the local area, but that's because of the saturated ground. I think we got off quite lightly in Kent. We were lucky. An awful lot of people did not, though. It has been very, very, very rough indeed. Well, it comes back to the bin collections issue, doesn't it? Like, local councils do the basic stuff, the dredging, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Flush the drains.
So everybody is so you're prepared for the worst case disaster. And we nearly always find when there's been problems, there hasn't been the general maintenance that is required to make these things work. And it's always that cost cutting. They need to cut corners. So and then it costs jetting of gullies and all of that kind of stuff they get out the window. We do all the exciting topics on this show.
Who knew?
I did not think when I woke up this morning I'd be talking with Claire about the jetting of gullies. I'm not going to lie to you, that did not come up on my bingo list, but there we are.